Alright, we are back. It's been a while, but Derek Smith requested, I believe from the Jan and Dean International Facebook group, he requested more album reviews. So I'm like, well, I'll do a couple of, Jan and Dean, because I haven't done them in a while, and I love them. They're great. But September 1st, 1964, this album comes out. So it's, school's about to start for the kids. It kind of gets their mind off of going to school. They got a new Jan and Dean album. But a couple weeks before, they had Ride the Wild Surf come out, which the anniversary of that coming out is coming up in a few days, actually. And Jan, I'm pretty sure, wanted to just make one album for that. Most likely combining tracks from this one and Ride the Wild Surf, and then, put it together as one album. So that kind of thing would feature all the hit singles instead of having some on one and some on the other. So it'd be like Ride the Wild Surf, Anaheim, Little Old Lady, Sidewalk Surfing. Those four would already be ready for the album. But then he'd probably just pick the best filler tracks from each one and then put it into a 12-track album. But Jan was kind of, I think, not forced, but he's told to make two albums. So this is the second one. Surprisingly, which is pretty good, only having two reuse songs. So, only two songs that were put out on a previous album. And again, Memphis on here is a new version compared to the one that was on Surf City about a year and a half before. So, this album is more or less a Jan and Dean and the Fantastic Baggies, because the Fantastic Baggies are on this just as much as Jan and Dean are. In fact, more than Dean. So it says, what does it say? Backup vocals. Oh, right here. Backing vocals, the Fantastic Baggies. I'll give it a little bit nice look at the back. All the previous albums that had come out. Anyway, by this time in Jan and Dean's career, Jan was not using Dean as much as he was in 62 and 63 and before that. The first time Phil Sloan pops up is on the Dead Man's Curve album. He does, I think, he sings falsetto on Mighty GTO and Hey Little Freshman. But that was, just a little bit. Dean had the rest of it. But then came around March, April 64, it was time to do Little Old Lady. And there is a take of Dean singing the falsetto on Little Old Lady, which is, in my opinion, far better than the Phil version. But Jan decided to use Phil. And that stuck for the next quite a few months. He started using Phil on and off after Dead Man's Curve for about another year. Of course, still using Dean as well. Because, he still kind of had to keep Dean in there, too. Because there were some songs that he felt Dean was better on, But, so, yeah, it's really weird. I don't know why Jan wanted to do that. Dean is really the only falsetto singer that can really sing these songs the way they should be sung. So, I don't know. Anyway, we're going to get into the review itself now. So, kicks off with Little Old Lady, the big hit from the album. Of course, hit number 3 in, I believe, June of 64. Again, like I said, using Phil Sloan as the lead falsetto, or the only falsetto. And then Dean and Steve Barry of the Fantastic Baggies do the backup, along with Phil and Jan, and then Jan does the lead. A great song. I mean, I love it, even though Dean's not on it. It's still an amazing song, and Jan's production on it is possibly his best, one of his best. His production on this album is amazing. Then we go on to the remake of Memphis. Second time they did this song. It's a remake, Yeah. So there's a lot of it's kind of like a little bit of a party kind of thing going on. They kind of just screwing around and they're clapping, and then Jan's vocal is right up front, and it sounds really, really good. Love his vocal on that. And it's a pretty fun cover. I really enjoy that. Now we come to one of my top favorites from the album and from Jan and Dean. When It's Over. The string arrangement on this is great, and the way those drums just Hal Blaine on those drums before the bridge, it's mind blowing. Jan's production on that might be his best production, definitely up there though. Again, Jan's vocal on it, one of his best for sure. Next we hear we finally get to hear Dean for the first time audibly. You know, he was on backup on Little Old Lady, but this is the first time we hear Dean, track 4. We don't normally have to wait that long to hear anything from Dean, but you know, again, so that's Horace the Swinging School Bus Driver, and that might be my favorite from this album, just because it's such a fun song, and I love the idea behind it. Always remembering Horace, you know, one of their biggest fans. I think he ran the fan club or something like that. But I love that. Dean's falsetto in it is really, really good. Might be his best, one of his best, definitely. But it's just a really fun song. I really enjoy hearing it. I kind of, you know, smile whenever I hear it. Then we come to the one of the two instrumentals on here, Old Lady Seldom Power Shift, which really amazing instrumental. Not one of my favorites, but it's still one of my it's still a very good instrumental. My favorite instrumental is actually Barron's West LA from Dead Man's Curve, New Girl in School. So after Old Lady Seldom Power Shift, we get Sidewalk Surfing, the other kind of big hit from the album, which only made number 25. And again, we get Phil back on the falsetto here. Again, one of my favorites from Jan and Dean, but it just doesn't have that kind of effect that Dean put onto the songs. So it kind of loses something, but it's still one of my top favorites. So then we start off side 2 with the Anaheim, Azusa, and Cucamonga Sewing Circle Book Review and Timing Association. Again, Phil on the falsetto here. And Dean on a backup. Dean is not on Sidewalk Surfing, I believe. But that's the only song with backup vocals that he's not on at all. It was Sidewalk Surfing. So, Anaheim Azusa is one of my favorites. It's got kind of a I Get Around vibe. But Jan's vocal on it is great, as always. And, you know, of course, it's got that same Little Old Lady kind of concept going on. At the end, it's literally basically the same ending as Little Old Lady, go, Granny, go, Granny, go, Granny, go. Just, you know, it's just that. But definitely a great, fun song. Next we come to, this might actually be my favorite from the album. It's, you know, kind of hard to choose. And that's Summer Means Fun. Another, baggy song, which quite a few of these are. But we do get Dean on the falsetto here, which is great because, you know, it's really great to hear his falsetto, because this is really when his falsetto was really, really on point. It always has been, but it's really good on this album and Ride the Wild Surf. So, Jan's vocal on it is great, as always. Love the playing on it, the guitar solo. Just everything about it is great, and this just screams hit. And I really think it should have came out as a single, maybe instead of Sidewalk Surfing. Would have been a great song instead. And on the stereo version, there's some studio talk at the beginning with, like, Brian Wilson saying, you know, take 10C, blah, 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 and then Dean going, oh, woo, for, like, yeah, it's like 10 seconds, and then the song starts. But on the mono copy, it cuts right into the song. And also on the Popsicle version, it goes right in, there's no studio talk, which is the same version as on here. Next we get one of the reuse tracks. Well, actually Sidewalk Surfing was as well, because it was just on Ride the Wild Surf. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3 with Jan and his girlfriend Jill Gibson. I believe, in my I think personally that the only reason it was on this album is because I believe Jill just had her single out of the song with her solo version. But that's one of my favorite songs, and I really, really enjoy that. Next up, we've got Move Out Little Mustang, which is not Jan and Dean. It is the Fantastic Baggies. And I'm like, Jan, what are you doing here? You know? But Jan does sing one little line on it. He does sing backup in one little quiet line. But I think this could have been Dean's lead vocal because he does not have one here. So, it's a good song. You know, it's more or less of a filler. Skateboarding Part 2, the other instrumental on this album. Again, doesn't do really a whole lot for me. It's an instrumental, part 2 to the one that was on Ride the Wild Surf. Same idea. And then we closed with One Piece Topless Bathing Suit, which was a single for the Ripcord shortly after this album came out. And I love it. Dean does most of the falsetto. There's a tiny bit by Phil on here. But it's just fun. Great way to close the album. About a grandma that has a one-piece topless bathing suit. Simple, fun. Jan and Dean, the little old lady from Pasadena. Late summer with Jan and Dean, the little old lady from Pasadena. Thank you very much for watching. And I will have another one up today. So, bye.